everybody, welcome back to Midas Letter Live with myself, James West, and my co-host,
Ed Milewski.
Ah, look at that. He speaks. Ed, how are you doing today?
I'm good.
How are you liking that market?
You know, I got to tell you.
What about Tilray?
Whew. Barbara
Streisand?
You know, Tilray had the big exponential move.
Whoa.
And now it's trading for about 75 on 1/6.
I know. How'd you like to be one of the guys who picked it up at $300 a share?
Well, even 250.
Oh, hope you didn't use that
do
for...
you know what Bitcoin's trading at right now?
Bitcoin? What is that again?
$3,500. It hit 20,000 a year ago. It's now 3,500.
I know, but that was a bit fraudulent, wasn't it, with that tether thing?
I don't know.
Been following that story?
It shows a print.
I'm telling you, there is going to be handcuffs flying before that story is over, because the tether guys who created this competing but synergistic cryptocurrency called Tether, which was supposed to be it was supposed to be tethered to the US dollar, thus Tether. So what they did is they created Tether to buy all kinds of Bitcoin, which is what actually was the #1 currency that drove the price up over 20,000 from 15,000. And now they're finding out that Tether didn't actually have the USD behind it. So it was essentially a big fraud and a big market manipulation. And there's some pretty sharp and accredited people at the SEC and the Department of Justice who are all over that shit. All over it.
Well, anyway, exponential moves lead to
depression.
The opposite. You know, like they
suicide.
Yeah. Depression and suicide. Hotline time.
High velocity impact.
I bought some Bitcoin recently. What should I do?
Just jump right off the nearest precipice is my recommendation. I think it's it's not politically correct to recommend suicide as a financial strategy when markets are down, though. Would you agree with that, Ed?
Absolutely.
Mind you, it hasn't stopped a lot of people in the past. You know why the windows on the new tower in New York don't close, where all the banks are? Don't open, rather?
Don't close?
They stay closed, they don't open. It's so people can't just throw themselves off.
Yeah, remember the guy that took a run at this window? You know,
it's in the street here.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and he
made Canadians the butt of jokes
right
for
through.
years. Yeah, I know. That was tragic.
Was he trying to? I guess he was.
No, actually, my understanding is he was trying to demonstrate in a joking manner how solid the windows were.
Then one day,
and he ran against it at the end of a hallway, and it took it right out and went with it. Not that we should be laughing at that.
No. Yeah.
Anyways, we got a big show today, and let's see. Well, we're going to have Nick Dean here from Emblem. Emblem is one of the companies that's been around since the beginning. We've been following them forever, and Nick Dean is executing on the business plan, as we shall hear at about 3:15. Then 3:30, we're going to talk to Brandon Colwell. Brandon, of course, is one of our affiliate on-screen partners from Follow the Money Investor Group at FTMIG.com, who is going to discuss with us the finer points of social media conversation for issuers not wanting to fall afoul of the Canadian Securities Administration, who, as you might remember last week, issued that bulletin saying, we're a little bit concerned about the promotional activities of some of these companies, and we're going to start cracking down, see?
Yeah, but they get more concerned when there's losses. They don't seem to get concerned when nobody's losing money.
Well,
you ever notice?
Well, I don't know. Then they just put the brakes on the upside in the stock market. How many times have they halted stocks in a single day when they were on a tear?
Yeah, but that's the circuit breaker.
Circuit breaker. Ass. Anyway, so that's an algorithmic thing, not an actual decision.
You know, it's all
bullshit.
History may not repeat itself, but it always rhymes, doesn't it?
Oh, who said that?
I did.
No, originally, I mean. And then at 3:50, we're going to have a segment called Sex and Cannabis. Sean Cookson is going to reveal himself during that segment and discuss
reveal his true nature.
And then at 3:45, one of the all-time rock stars of branding, Peter Horvath, is going to be here. He's the man behind the branding in Victoria's Secret, Designer Shoe Warehouse, American Apparel. Or is it American Eagle? American Eagle or American Apparel? Oh, I just screwed up. Oh, no. Anyways, don't know, but Peter Horvath will be here. Then at 4 o'clock, we're going to have another representative from the millennial class. Aaron Missere is here for his debut appearance on Midas Letter.
I thought you were going to say millennial clap.
Millennial clap. Well, that's just disturbing on so many levels. Ed, we're just going to ignore that.
You know what?
And then, what else? Ed and I are going to be here with the non-stop stream of bullshit surrounding stocks, charts, issuers.
The truth.
The truth.
We're going to change the name of our show to Pravda.
Pravda! Ooh, and start working for the Russians. Anyways, without further ado, here is our lovely and talented Ricky Gerwitz with the news of the day that is moving our little cannabis market hither and thither.
Thanks, and here are the headlines moving markets today. Aurora Cannabis Inc. has entered into an agreement to invest $10 million by way of brokered private placement in High Tide Inc., a privately held Alberta-based retail-focused cannabis and lifestyle accessories company. In total, Aurora will receive 10,000 senior unsecured convertible debentures issued at $1,000 each, bearing an interest rate of 8.5% per annum and convertible in aggregate to 13,333,333 common shares of High Tide at 75 cents per share. High Tide is developing an expanding network across Canada of cannabis and cannabis accessory retail stores, as well as manufacturing and distributing branded cannabis accessories. Indiva Limited announced it has successfully imported 3 premium CBD strains from Swiss cannabis producer Medropharm GmbH and Greenfields Healthcare SA. The London-based company now has tissue cultures of the 3 strains propagating in their growth chamber. The 3 imported strains are reportedly high in CBD and are designed for medicinal users of cannabis. HEXO Corp has released its financial results for the first quarter of the 2019 fiscal year. Gross revenue for the quarter reached $6.7 million, which includes $5.2 million in sales of adult-use cannabis in the first 2 weeks following legalization in Canada. Other highlights include the creation of trusts, a partnership with Molson Coors Canada, the acquisition of a scalable facility in Belleville, Ontario, a 1 million square foot facility on track to be operational by the end of December 2018, and a partnership in Greece to establish a Eurozone distribution center. Canopy Growth Corporation has entered into a multi-year extraction agreement with Valens Growworks Corp., a licensed provider of cannabis products. Under the terms of the multi-year agreement, Valens says it will use proprietary technology and methodologies to process the company's whole flower and trim into high-grade cannabis resin. Canopy Growth expects the first shipment of product for extraction will occur before the end of December 2018. Namaste Technologies Inc. announced the company's wholly owned subsidiary, Canmart Incas, signed an agreement with Agriflora Organic International Inc. The agreement allows Canmart to purchase medical cannabis products from Agriflora's Propagation Services Canada greenhouse operations in Delta, BC, subject to the approval of its cultivation and sales licenses by Health Canada. In October 2018, Agriflora's majority-owned subsidiary, AAA Heidelberg, received a license to produce under Health Canada's access to cannabis for medical purposes regulations for its facility in London, Ontario. Subject to the terms of the agreement, Agriflora agrees to sell up to 10% of its annual production of cannabis to Canmart. And that's your news for today.
Nice bit of news there. You know, HEXO's got some positive things to say about it, but the bottom line was they lost 7 cents a share, or $12 million in the quarter, and that's a little bit disturbing because that's like over double what they lost in the same period the previous year. So not only that, but back in that previous quarter, year ending October 31st, they only had 76 million shares out. Now they have 194 million out. So, gotta watch those.
Yeah, they can reduce their losses per share by issuing more shares, right?
Well, that's
just
true.
Kidding, just kidding.
That's true. What would the loss be if they still only had 76 million?
Yeah,
anyways, not that I want to beat up on HEXO any more than they really deserve, but yeah. How are you doing today, Edward?
Good.
Any stocks you liking out there?
You know, I think the ones that had the big run into the because of the farm bill. Mm-hmm. Like I'm seeing HEXO.
Yeah, that thing's sputtered out.
Sort of roll over here.
Oh, look at the market today.
C-Web. Well, you know what? It's about value. I think valuation. And didn't Alan say yesterday on the show that, you know, as we go forward, it's not going to be just about top line anymore. It's going to be about income and cash flow. Like,
well, net income, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And never mind this IFRS adjusted income bullshit. It's net income,
yeah,
full stop, no adjustment. That's the bottom line. So this is the thing that investors, I think, are going to become more sensitive to, especially if you keep watching our show, because we are focused on one thing: earnings, net income. Don't talk to me about adjusted IFRS. We call bullshit. Anyways, so drawing my attention right now to the NDI screen on my monitor, I am looking at the large cap constituents here, and look at that, Edward. Is that not a scene of absolute misery and suffering?
Is that the Red Sea?
These are all the companies trading on Canadian exchanges with a market cap above $500 million.
And they're pretty well all down.
Yeah, Weed down $1.75 to $41.09. Aurora down 63 cents to $7.52. Charlotte's Web down $1.75 to $14.25. Now, Charlotte's Web was one of the stocks that was the biggest beneficiary of the Farm Bill getting passed.
What's Charlotte's Web down?
Charlotte's Web is down $1.75 or 10.94%. So this market's brutal. It giveth and then it taketh away double. Almost, not quite, not in Charlotte's Web.
Well, whenever you retreat a lot, like whenever you roll over and you have a lot of people on top paying higher, it acts as a ceiling. Like it's easy when you have blue sky for a stock to keep going up, as we saw with the, you know, a year ago, 2 years ago, they just keep going higher and higher and higher. But when they roll over, and then you got all these new shareholders that are now in the ditch, so to speak, it's hard to get through them again.
Yeah.
Because now people are thinking, hey, I'll be just happy to get my fucking money back.
Yes.
Sorry about the...
And you don't need to apologize about colorful language here. Everybody says money back. It's okay. Anyways, the interesting thing to me is that, you know, here we are, and this is something critical to remember. We are still in the last week of tax loss selling. Not the last week. The second last week. Usually, anybody who's got any size in the market is finished their tax loss selling by the end of the second week at the latest, because you don't want to be cleaning out your position and adding to your losses by selling at the low of the year. So usually by the 15th, everybody's turning it around, and now they're looking to, you know, place bets for the new year.
And our friend from Houston, Alan, he did say, though, this was a perfect storm, a perfect year for significant tax loss selling, because there's losses everywhere now.
Right.
Because of the, you know, the 15-20% correction in the FANG stocks, because there's a lot of marijuana stocks that are 20% of what they were.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of losses to take, and maybe there's going to be some great buys here this week.
You would think, eh? Now I'm going to pull up a chart of the S&P 500 here, because this is really painting the picture in the broader market.
I saw it was pretty well flat today. Is that
really?
Am I wrong?
You are rather significantly wrong.
Because it's down 4 points. S&P.
4 points. That's it.
Yeah, just 4 points.
Oh, okay.
So
well, it looked like it was down a lot more earlier. Okay, well, 26.48, and it opened the door at.
Well, it closed yesterday at 26.51 or something.
Okay.
So it's nothing.
Well, okay, so but bottom line is the cannabis stocks are emulating more or less what is going on in the broader market. And we're just going to have to live with that, Ed. It's going to be the story of our lives. Okay, quick word association. Barbra Streisand.
Babs.
That's not bad. Donald Trump. Too long.
The Donald.
The Donald. Okay.
Okay. George Bush.
Dead.
Well, but I thought you had to use had to be a name of somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know the game here.
Well, you did.
Okay.
George Bush.
Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley.
Hips.
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 What would you say for lips?
Al
Pacino.
Mick Jagger.
Remember in that movie Al Pacino when he said
Rolling Stones. That's what I'd say for lips, because of the lips on that album. Which album was that? Quick trivia question for the audience. Which was the Rolling Stones album that featured the stylized pair of lips on the cover, which were supposed to be Mick Jagger's lips? What is the prize, you might ask? Absolutely nothing. Anyways, I had an excellent conversation with Nick Dean, CEO of Emblem Corp. Emblem's been with us since the day one, and here's what Nick had to say. Welcome back, Nick.
Thanks, James. Thrilled to be here. I brought gifts this time.
Oh boy,
tis the season.
What do we got here?
This is,
is this made out of hemp?
It is not. It's made out of high-quality wool.
Oh.
This is Symbol, our adult-use brand, so I'm thrilled to see you wear our swag. I'm not sure if that's allowed, but we're going to let it go. We're going to let it go.
Whatever I want.
It might get a little toasty in here, but you look great.
There we go. Oh, it is getting a little warm, actually. So, Nick, let's start with an update. What's changed since we were talking to you last?
Well, we recently launched our new capsules, so that happened this week.
Okay.
So I think the main focus there, this is a testament to Emblem's focus on execution over the last year.
Okay.
Now, we've made a lot of changes, and our focus to our shareholders and our...
I am going to take this off.
You should take it off. It's probably hot.
Because it's like...
That's okay. But our commitment to our shareholders has always been about firm execution. We're going to deliver on our commitments, and if we're going to make commitments to patients, we're going to make sure that we deliver those. So we made the commitment to patients that would have capsules out before the end of the year, and we met that commitment earlier this week.
Okay, so what kind of capsules are they?
We've got 3 SKUs. We've got the high THC, we've got the high CBD, and then we've got the blend. They're 10 milligrams for now, 60 capsules per bottle. But we do have plans to continue listening to our patients, and they're going to let us know what their needs are moving forward, and we'll introduce new SKUs.
Cool. Yeah. I consume 48 milligrams of CBD each morning.
I should have brought you some. I don't know if that's allowed either, but perhaps I brought the wrong gift. Yeah.
I'm a patient. Yeah, great. I can do that. But so it's interesting. So from where you sit, has the Farm Bill in the U.S. created any sort of increased awareness of CBD products as a wellness product? Has it created any demand for your products?
Look, I think there's already been incredible demand for the CBD products in the marketplace. They were some of the earliest products to sell out with regards to some of our SKUs in Alberta and in Ontario. I think this is raising awareness about, number one, significant opportunities for Canadian cannabis companies now to get into the U.S., even given some of the strict regulations, if we're listed on the TSXV, for example.
Sure.
So I think it's raising awareness. I think it's a great thing. It's showcasing that the U.S. government is moving closer and closer to full cannabis legalization, I think. So we're pretty pleased with it. But yeah, I think it does create a lot of opportunities for more CBD-based products moving forward and SKUs.
Interesting. So how many patients are you at total right now?
We've surpassed 6,000.
Okay.
So the number's been growing throughout the year. It's probably about almost 100% growth since the start of year. So just over 6,000 now, and the growth continues, which, frankly, we were a little surprised with. We thought the adult use market would come online, and we may see some patients attrite into the adult use space.
Okay.
We actually saw the opposite. We saw an increase in patient counts. So we're attributing that to a couple of factors. Number one, I think we have an incredibly strong medical brand with Emblem. We continue to bring out new product innovations. And finally, we met all of our commitments. So we made sure that we had enough product available to meet all of the ongoing patient commitments, even with adult use coming online, which we also met 100% of our commitments. So where some of our competitors may have sort of run dry or their inventory fell short, I think we may have actually attracted some of those patients over to Emblem because we had significant products.
So you're kind of like a best kept secret in terms of all the LPs.
You've said that before. Yeah, I like that, and I think that's probably true given the business we're building.
Okay, so tell me about your. You've got a new president.
We do. So we recently hired Wayne Krepner. Wayne Krepner joined us as our president of our medical division. His mandate is product innovation. So help us identify new market opportunities, help us identify new products that we should bring to market, and then obviously help us commercialize those products. Wayne joined about 6 weeks ago. It's pretty funny. So I spent a lot of time, I probably shouldn't do this because it can be soul crushing, but I spent a lot of time reading the forum boards, reading Reddit, and I got to chuckle this last week because there's a lot of Reddit comments saying, Wayne Krepner joined, but where is he? We haven't seen him.
Right.
So I'm here, I want to reassure shareholders, he's working. So he may not be doing interviews right now.
Right.
But he's been incredibly busy.
So we'll bring him on the show when he's ready.
Yeah, I think
he's
we
up
should.
to speed.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, and so you recently visited Freya's Leamington's facility, and that ended up in a supply agreement.
So we did. So we signed a supply agreement with Afria late in the summer, maybe early September, which is probably, we think, one of the largest LP to LP supply deals.
Okay.
And the reason we did that is because we wanted to go to an asset-light model at Emblem and really focus our resources, both human and cash, on product innovation, on building great brands, and and then making sure we had distribution lined up. So Aphria, being incredibly good growers, became a great solution for us to make sure we had the raw materials to put into our products. So last week was a tough week for our friends at Aphria, and I think Emblem, given the strong partnership we have and the reliance on product supply from Aphria, we sort of got pulled down in the market as well as a result. And so we reached out to them and said, we'd love to reassure our shareholders that, everything that might be said over here isn't true.
Right.
And so, they invited us up right away. We took a trip down to Leamington last Friday. We didn't realize it was going to be a 3-hour tour, but that's essentially how long it took because their facility is so bloody big.
Right.
But it's a world-class facility, state-of-the-art, fully automated.
Right.
We brought our director of product strategy to evaluate the flower that's being grown there. He was blown away. So incredibly impressive tour. It's funny. So again, I follow these silly forums all the time, and as I left, I tweeted a picture of Vic and I tweeted a picture of the Leamington sign, and I tweeted a picture of the front door and just said, we had a great visit, want to reassure our shareholders. And there's a funny picture of Vic and I just want to again tell the people that are on those forums, we're not cuddling. It's an awkward handshake for sure. I'll give everyone that, but we're not cuddling. Although we both probably could have used a hug at the end of last week.
Right.
But yeah, quite funny to see the feedback.
Very cool. Okay, so then you've also reported pretty strong third quarter results.
Yep.
Would you like to talk about those for a bit?
Yeah, so sure. Look, the focus again has been on continued revenue growth. It's been on cost reduction. It's been on pure execution. So we saw, again, significant quarter-over-quarter growth, and we saw significant year-over-year growth. And that's going to be the benchmark moving forward. We hope to be able to continue to deliver better results than the previous quarter, and that's going to be the focus moving forward.
Sure. Okay, so now here comes the tougher questions.
Sure. Okay, yeah, those were the softballs?
Yeah. So in 2019, everybody is looking to the Canadian LP space. They're going to start valuing companies on balance sheets because now we've got the medical regime and the recreational regime.
For sure.
How is Emblem going to perform in 2019, whether it be net income?
Look, I love that question. So I love that question because since I've joined the company, we have firmly been focused on fundamentals. So we've been focused on building a business that is going to drive revenue, that's going to showcase cost reductions, that's going to get to cash flow positive quickly. And so we are quite pleased given the asset-light model we've gone, and we have a committed pricing from Aphria, and we have a committed pricing from Natura Naturals, who's another supplier of ours. So that we have strict cost knowledge in terms of what those raw materials are going to actually generate. So we think we're going to be able to generate incredibly high margins based on the products that we're bringing to market. An example right now, our dried flower, we're seeing a significant recognized revenue. When you move up to oils, it's about $15. When you move up to our oral sprays, it's about $20 in recognized revenue per gram.
Yeah.
As we continue to introduce these new products, we're going to see higher and higher margins as a result of those products. So we're excited about 2019. We expected that as of October 17th, there would be a shift in the market, which we've now all seen. And it's going to move away from promotion of companies to actual, what is that company made of? What are the fundamentals of that company? And is this a viable business? And so we're quite excited about sharing our results through 2019.
Great. Okay. Well, so then where are the opportunities for Emblem in terms of the international unfolding story?
Yeah, so right now we are in Germany. I think you and I chatted about that the last time I was here. We had just launched our Germany JV. Actually, speaking of where Wayne is, Wayne was in Germany last week meeting with the Emblem Germany folks. That is going to be our first foray into the EU, the European marketplace. So we're going to start with Germany and then branch out from there. We're having conversations in the UK right now. We're looking at territories like Australia. So international, we expect, is going to be a major component of our business moving forward. And that's certainly where our resources and our team are looking for growth. So we recognize Canada is this big. We need to get into these international territories, and frankly, we have a first mover advantage given that we started the business here in Canada.
Sure.
We're also, and you asked me about Farm Bill, but we've made no commitments yet, and we're going to make sure we do everything that's within the TSXV rules and legal legislation. But we'd be foolish not to be looking at the US as well. Sure. Are there opportunities for us to start looking at strategic partnerships or brands or products, maybe hemp-based CBD for now? But is there an entry point into the US as well, which is obviously going to be one of the largest markets? So these are things that we are looking at.
Okay, so are you guys going to need to raise any more capital from public markets to achieve profitability?
So right now we have a strong balance sheet. So we've got about $45 million, a little bit less than that, about $43 to $45 million still on the balance sheet, which was a result of us moving away from building our own greenhouse and or acquiring and moving into the supply agreement structure. So right now we feel confident that we have enough cash to run the business.
Okay.
I think I've said this to you in the past. We're not opposed to raising additional funds in the future, but right now we believe that we've got a decent run rate with the cash on hand.
Interesting.
Given the asset-light model.
Sure. So the asset-light model is something I'd like to focus a bit more on because that is attractive to me, given that we have the massive ultra high-tech growing facilities in Afria and in Aurora and in Canopy Growth and CanTrust, et cetera. Probably we don't need a hell of a lot more capacity in that regard.
Agree.
So is that going to put you in a position though where you're at the mercy of the growers at some point should supply not really be exceeded by demand?
Well, look, so we've got a 5-year agreement with Afria. So this is not a 1 year, 2 year, it's a 5-year commitment at fixed pricing over that 5 years. So we do expect the price of cannabis will come down as that raw material. So we think we're well protected there.
Okay.
I think, but the point you made is exactly why we moved away. We started looking around and realizing there is so much cultivation capacity being built up in the country. Where can we really win? And we believe we can win in product innovation and bringing new products to market that are actually dose controlled, meeting the needs of patients, also meeting the needs of adult use consumers. We can tie those to amazing brands like the one you just wore, like Symbol, which is performing incredibly well in Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, BC, soon to be rest of Canada as we look to 2019. And then obviously the distribution. So we've got great relationships already in place with Fire and Flower, really performing incredibly well in Alberta. We recently announced a partnership with Starbuds. We've got our partnership with Shoppers Drug Mart, which just got their license last week. So that's where our focus has been, right? Lock up the price for raw material, for the flower itself, make sure we've got great products, great brands, and make sure we can actually get those products in the hands of consumers and patients.
You bet.
Yeah, and so we're feeling very confident.
Well, that's great. I'm not yet a shareholder, though I am really getting close to becoming one. Brandon, welcome back.
Yeah, look at
That's
that
quite the
fanciness.
intro,
You see
eh?
that?
You look like a rock star suddenly.
The production team's doing a good job.
I
Absolutely love it.
Fire. We're going to have to get one of those for Suzanne.
Definitely. That's the real rock star that we don't see out in this desk. Everything that goes on.
So I was interested to see there that you actually manage relationships to 250,000 participants in the social media universe.
Correct.
And so I wanted to have you on today in that capacity because recently, I guess it was on November 29th, actually, not that recently, but 2 weeks ago, the Canadian Securities Administrators came out with Staff Notice 51-356, which was titled Problematic Promotional Activities by Issuers. I've got it up on my screen right now. And essentially, this document is saying that, in a nutshell, that we are seeing some promotional activities by certain issuers that are either untrue or unbalanced to such an extent that they may mislead investors. So they go on to say that the issuers are disseminating presentations that are perhaps a bit too rosy, issuing numerous press releases, compensating third parties who use social media and general investing blogs to promote issuers but do not disclose their agency. Our position here is that without incurring the wrath of the Canadian Securities Administrators, who we love and respect, we definitely want to point out to you people who we love and respect that social media can also be used as a tool of good. And case in point, your group started a hashtag All Shares Matter that resulted in this very document being published because you guys exposed the activities on a preliminary basis of Bridgemark Consultants, Bridgemark Capital.
I think it was Bridgemark Capital, and yeah, there were some really key individuals who were looking into us, and it was actually, I got pulled into it because I was invested in the company. It was called Blockplay. And it's really interesting to see investors in the social media world where it's so important to manage your social media because there's a huge flock of new investors who I believe had never invested before, and they came in the craze of cannabis, and now they're intelligent people, but they don't always know how to invest. They're learning, but they see these things, and people have been around for a while. They see the shell game. They see something, they're like, oh, that's normal. And I think this particular company, Bridgemark, I think did it to a certain extent. We'll let the regulators decide how big of an extent that actually was. But it's really nice to see investors come together and say, wait a second, I think I see something wrong. And start doing due diligence, start talking to one another, start sharing different documents. And sure enough, it was Bridgemark that was a part of this play called Block Play. And that's where it really started to grow when you're starting to look at the activity that happened there. And if you look at what they're calling, issuing numerous news releases that disclose no material facts, is back to what you just mentioned. Disseminating presentations and all that, describe early stage plans without unwarranted certainty. These are happening all across the blockchain, cannabis, and mining sector. And it's a shame because it's overshadowing good companies who are actually doing the right thing and having great news releases coming out.
Yep.
Whereas these other ones are just doing fluff. We'll have 1 million square feet by tomorrow.
Right.
And their prices ran.
Well, so on the upside, the social media universe can be an environment of collaboration from concerned shareholders who see activity that might be questionable. On the downside, then what you're saying is that people who are, let's just say, unsophisticated and perhaps lesser moral fiber, who buy 1,000 shares of something and then go rushing out across social media shouting that this thing's going to $1,000. They're going to grow 1 million feet. So, this document from the Canadian Securities Regulator is valid. Absolutely no argument there. Some issuers are guilty of these concerns, but there are positive things to consider, and there's also the consideration that it's not just issuers doing this, it's other individuals who are motivated by other interests. So short sellers. Absolutely. And even long holders who are, overly ambitious. They're not regulated entities. They can say what they want. It's social media. It's the Wild West. Yeah. And I think it's a little bit disingenuous for the regulator to suggest that this is exclusively a problem with the issuers. Yeah. So again, I want to refer to, we just saw the Hindenburg Research report that took Aphria from $10 a share to just over $4 a share in 3 sessions before a large portion of that research was discovered to be incorrect, inaccurate. And so arguably it was interesting because the Hindenburg Research brought up the term fraud in relation to Aphria, which has now been completely debunked by all parties. And fraud is now the word that we would use to question the motivations of Hindenburg and QCM because they have fraudulently driven the share price lower through social media manipulation of sentiment. Yeah. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but I guess I'm kind of agreeing with you there. But I like to focus on the positive social media, use of social media, because that obviously, we discovered that Hindenburg's research was less than well conceived and executed through social media.
Through social media, and I think it's really powerful, and not enough companies are recognizing this shift yet, where it's just like you said, if you've got a certain purpose or you're trying to really push something beyond what it is, if you're crazy pumping something, if you're crazy bashing something with unsubstantiated evidence and all of that, that's what they're attacking right now. But it's kind of like almost like bullying. We spend so much time fighting bullying, but don't look and say, why aren't we fighting the people getting bullied and helping them? Like, there's always 2 sides of a story. I think social media is the same, where it can do a lot of harm if you let it go off and just is vile. There's no governance. There's no people calling people out saying, it's going to go $15. Why is it going to go to $15? Right. In our group, Follow the Money investor group on Facebook, we grew that based on if you're going to say something negative about a company or positive, we welcome both, but you have to substantiate it with information, with due diligence. Otherwise, you're a pumper or a basher. Right. But when it comes to bringing these things up, even going back to Bridgemark, the amount of people and investors who then started looking at certain individuals and certain things, they'd go back and look at the Form 9s that are on the CSE. They'd go back and look at different documents on CDAR and look for these players. And if they say, oh, there's another person, same person again on 9 different companies, oh, he's got 20 more million shares of these special financial consultant. There's a certain consulting agreement or some sort of way where they can
shares, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a certain term for it. But they're able to get into that where they don't have a hold on their shares, yet everyone else does. So when you're able to see that, and now investors, this is before the BC Securities came out with anything. People already saw this. We're going like, you know what? Nope, same person. Yeah, that name again. No, I'm not going to go into that company.
That's what I'm saying. That was that event, the whole Bridgemark scandal that is still unfolding. That was the seminal event that resulted in this document being issued by the CSA.
I believe so.
Which is kind of interesting because they are warning people about social media promotion, yet it was social media that provided them with the very foundation of the case to pursue the Bridgemark Group and put a halt to those nefarious activities.
I don't think they get it yet, and that's okay because social media coming into the investment world is strange. It's different. A lot of people are still really used to that whole, hey, let's go to have a lunch that costs you like $10,000, and you'll hear from a guy who heard from a guy who will later tell you at the water cooler to go into a company.
Right.
Well, that's long gone, and or it's going to be long gone. Now it's, I want to actually talk to the company. I want to do the due diligence. You've got groups who can disseminate all this information. You don't tell people to buy, sell, or hold anything. That's important too. For anyone who's doing that, you're actually imposing as you have like your CFA or you are a financial advisor. You're not, and you have to be careful of that. There's nothing wrong with saying why you are excited about a company and providing due diligence on it, because where else would you find that? Hopefully not in these certain other boards where people have immense agendas there.
Right. Do you think it's reasonable to expect that level of sort of curation of commentary, that for people to approach social media who don't have that level of sophistication and are not going to apply those filters of decency to to their emotional responses to having money at risk in a given equity? Do you think that's reasonable, or do you think that there needs to be some external curation of the entire social media universe that sort of they're able to remove those comments?
Yeah, and that's such a hard thing to answer because in Canada especially, free speech and all that goes a very, very far away with what you're allowed to say and not say. But I think it really comes down to who's running that group. You have to put the time in and have administrators and have people and build a culture where they call people out for that. Going back to our group again, I'll get notifications of something being flagged. If someone comes in and starts pitching like some blockchain or some cryptocurrency saying it's going to go to the moon, I'll get flagged and within minutes it's gone. So we delete it personally in these different groups if it's like that.
And then Facebook actually deletes stuff on occasion.
They are very anti-cannabis still, even though they're allowing the word being said again. I think Facebook has a long way to go, but remember that Facebook is based out of the United States and it's still illegal federally in the United States. So that's a far way to go. But I think social media, more and more companies we're finding are realizing how important it is. It's kind of it's that moment where they know it's important, but they don't get it. It's this weird, awkward moment. But for groups who understand the importance of social media and can do it responsibly, give a platform, just much like this is right here. You bring companies on and you're giving a platform for you to ask questions, but for investors to be able to see this and be like, hey, I actually heard the CEO talking. Right. And it wasn't, they weren't dressed up in suits and being all pretend. It was just a nice conversation. That's important. And to hinder that, I think, is very inappropriate because that's where a lot of people are going for knowledge right now. Instead of trying to delete it and hide it and be scared of it, recognize this is the way of the future and help govern it in a way where if you're stopping these crazy people with these agendas.
Right. Do you have any companies in mind that you could consider who are better at social media messaging and curation than others?
I really, really have always appreciated TGOD. Not a client, nor do I own a share currently of them. I always found they were very forthcoming about everything to do with their website. They started doing now weekly videos as well, showing the progress of their facility build. People really like to see their money being used properly. But just in general, their news releases, Danny Brody, I've met him a few times. It's amazing how connected he is on Facebook and in different groups, answering people. I think that's important. Yeah. There's definitely, Aurora does a fantastic job as well. There's definitely companies out there who do a very good job, but TGOD always stood out to me from the very beginning. Something about them, I always saw them, they didn't look pumpy, but they had great information that actually helped you learn about them. So good job to Danny Brody and the team over there.
You bet. All right, Brandon, we're going to leave it there for now because coming up this segment, we have Sean Cookson, who is going to wax poetic on sex and cannabis.
Well, there might not be any snow on the ground, but baby, it's cold outside. Am I even allowed to say that anymore? Cannabis and sex is nothing new. Our ancient ancestors were using it for millennia.
In India, it was used as far back as the 7th century. Its use for sexual health was documented in Chinese texts, amongst Germanic tribes, and by many African cultures. Maybe it's high time that the Western world gets into bed with it as well. I went to visit Antoinette Gomez, creator of Pleasure Peak's Canopy Inc. She's also an international speaker on tantric sex and sexual health with cannabis.
When I started to learn Tantra with my partner many years ago, I was surprised that cannabis was all in their transcripts. And we found that cannabis was an aphrodisiac used in India for many, many years in their tantric rituals. That's something that I'm trying to bring into the modern world.
Cannabis can be used in a variety of ways to help with sexual lives. For some people, it's a matter of managing anxiety and the whole nervousness about, am I doing it right? Am I taking too long? Do I taste good? Do I look good? Is my erection going to hold? All of those things that get in the way of us feeling pleasure, it can help with that. For some people, it can help focus us and be more present in the moment. For others, it's about a reduction in pain, and it's hard to feel pleasure when you are in pain.
We found a woman with endometriosis finally able to have sex again. We have noticed that they were able to have an optimal sex life again with their partner. They have found a new light in their intimacy.
As more studies come out that show the medical evidence and the scientific facts about how it helps and in what ways and which strains help in which kinds of ways, I think we're going to have a more broad range of folks who are interested in applying it to their own lives. From what I have seen and from the people I've talked to, the people who are interested in cannabis and sex tend to skew a little bit younger, and I think that's just more of a comfort with it.
If there was a cannabis-infused product that would enhance my sexual pleasure, I'd take it. I already smoke weed, so I feel that if it's gonna help with some other stuff, why not?
If there was a cannabis product that would enhance my sexual pleasure in bed, I would take it. Because who doesn't like pleasure?
What I love about cannabis as an aphrodisiac is a very spiritual space as well. So you do feel a lot more intimate in that sense. The THC is also known to heighten sensitivity, so you're way more closer with touch, and to share that with a partner is definitely more powerful when achieving orgasm too.
Other than smoking before you get with your partner or yourself, what are some other ways of reaching that ultimate cannabis climax?
We have cannabis CBD infused massage candles that you can massage into your partner. We have edibles that are genital safe as well that you can eat off your partner. We have CBD sprays to get you more in your body. And I think that full spectrum approach is perfect to have an optimal sex life.
I would just suggest that people do their own research, and how it affects one person is going to affect somebody else differently. So don't just try it and say, oh, well, it doesn't work for me. Try it in small doses, try different strains, try different types, talk to people who are really knowledgeable about it, and figure out what works for you.
Well, it seems as though cannabis-infused products for sexual experiences is on the rise. But one question still remains. Did you enjoy this segment as much as I did? For Midas Letter Live, I'm Sean Cookson.
You should light up a reefer.
Sean, I can tell you that I enjoyed that segment at least as much as you did. That was great. Ed, have you ever used any
I don't know.
cannabis-infused lubrication to enhance your sexual pleasure? Or let me broaden that question a little bit. Have any cannabinoids in your sexual peregrinations resulted in an increase in your sexual gratification?
Maybe in my mind.
In your mind? Wow. Jeez.
To explore you're making me blush. Jesus.
I can see the top of your head turning pink there. That's great.
You can see the top of my head?
Well, yeah, everybody can.
Oh.
You didn't know?
That head. Okay.
What?
Jesus.
Edward.
What?
Jesus Cristo.
Jesus.
Oh, man. Boy.
Jesus.
You know, there's one company that's just joined the cannabis mix here, and they are a U.S. operator, and they are so widely anticipated for one simple reason. And this is a great segue from the sex and cannabis segment, because the former CEO of this was one of the main powers behind the branding of Victoria's Secret.
GBB.
Peter Horvath, the CEO of Green Growth Brands, is here, and here's what we're going to talk about.
GGB.
We did. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thanks, James. Glad to be here.
Peter, Green Growth Brands is a widely anticipated brand-focused cannabis company entering the space. Tell me about your history with brands and branding and why everybody is so excited about Green Growth Brands.
Well, I think what's exciting is, look, let's keep in mind this market, it's evolving, right? First 5 million consumers, I'll bet 60% of them were buying the product illegally. The next 14 million coming down the pike in the next 5 years, they're not going to be like that. They're going to be everybody else. So it's not about cannabis brands and it's not about cannabis consumers. It's about brands and consumers, and that's where we have deep experience. That's where we've been working.
Okay, so the experience you have is in such household name brands like Victoria's Secret, Designer Shoe Warehouse. What is the strategy that you're going to bring from that universe into the cannabis brands? I mean, there's some that looks obvious, but other stuff I'm sure is a little more nuanced.
I think the key thing is, look, everybody that's entered the industry, they've come before us, they've kind of created the space that we can enter. They've been completely focused on product. Now, as you know, as a consumer, by the way, you're an expert in this field because you're a consumer.
I'm a consumer. I don't know about expert.
But all consumers are experts ultimately. Okay. And the people in this field have been focused on product, not on consumers. They've been focused on raising capital and getting quantity of product. Then they are outsourcing the branding, packaging, or the design of the store, and they might hire some people to come in and run the store for them. But ultimately, our expertise of competing for customers in saturated and mature markets, and then winning them to the level of some of the brands you mentioned, where we're number one in that segment, it's about customer engagement. And we're in a game here not to just open stores. We're in the game to earn loyal customers so that we're reporting comps every year that are positive, that we're reporting EBITDA rates that go up over time as opposed to down, and ultimately, ends up being a great investment if you're involved in it. So knowing consumers is what we do best, and then earning their loyalty through product. And management of channels and engagement is what we do best. And this isn't a question of, I think a lot of the folks in this industry, they've done a great job of getting launched, getting licenses, getting capital, and there's a big question around, can they execute? We don't have that question. Okay. We've executed, and we've delivered the #1 lingerie brand in the world. We've delivered the #1 personal products brand in the world in Bath & Body Works. Very important when we talk about CBD. And we've delivered #1 denim brand in North America in American Eagle, as well as the #1 shoe brand in North America, especially shoe business in DSW. So not only can we compete, but we can win. We've shown that.
Okay, so nobody's going to really ask or be skeptical of your branding capability. However, it has been observed in the cannabis space that being able to execute on the actual product itself is key to developing a good brand.
Right.
So I'm curious as to what is the strategy for Green Growth Brands in terms of generating the product itself?
So I think long-term philosophy is you've got to have your supply chain matters, and it's about building the right partnerships. And actually, what drives supply chain is your assortment architecture. I know this is going to sound complicated, but when you walk into a store and you experience an assortment, the narrower it is, the easier it is for you to navigate. It's just easier to figure out, what are these guys trying to sell me and what should I buy? The narrower it is, the easier it is to train your associates. the narrower it is, and I'm finally saying that clear, the easier it is to be in stock. And then the easier it is to develop meaningful sourcing relationships. So whether you're providing the product yourself, like I think we'll be able to provide about half of the product in Nevada to ourselves. We could provide more, but we want to stay diverse in terms of our sourcing base. Basically, that architecture makes it easier to give long lead time orders to cultivators and producers.
Sure.
And yeah, so
so you have production infrastructure already in Nevada to supply the.
Yes, the business that we closed on, the Source in Nevada, it's one store, a production facility, and a grow facility. The grow facility provides about a third of the product in the Source store right now, as well as to the sister Source store that we'll be closing on soon. And they also wholesale. So the other 70% is wholesale to, like, for example, Planet 13, you may have heard of them, so they're wholesaling to them.
Okay.
We have a second facility that I think we just announced this morning or earlier that is expanded. It's out in Pahrump, Nevada. It has about 150,000 feet expansion of a greenhouse hybrid, so we can do concentrates from there. So excited about taking the knowledge that's been demonstrated in the Post facility that we got when we bought this property, and then bringing it to this 8-acre complex that's out there in Pahrump.
Okay, so currently we live in a universe where people are going to specialty stores where every product in the house is a cannabis product. And competing at that level in a concentrated brand environment where you're competing with other brands in the space is one thing. But I'm curious about the evolution when it's federally legal to buy cannabis in, for example, Whole Foods or Walgreens, and where you're actually, now you've got your retail locations deciding which brands they're going to represent. Is that where your experience in, developing brand competitive strategies excels?
I think we're more, I have to really say our strength is in vertical brands, where you control the entire customer experience. And that is what Victoria's Secret is. You can't buy Victoria's Secret at Amazon. You can't buy it at Walmart. It is a true vertical brand. So there's lots of ways to do this, okay? So being a brand that exists in other people's stores is one way to do it. And we could do that. But our strength, we'd be foolish if we didn't concentrate on our strength, which is delivering the entire customer experience. Think about it. 10 years ago, Apple pulled back from all the retailers and they launched their own stores. And then slowly, after they established some momentum in their own stores, they released their product to a few retailers. That was because they were so unhappy with the customer experience that was being delivered by other retailers. Nike had thousands of retailers they were working with, and just a few years ago they pulled back to just 40 because they were unhappy with what was being done with their brand. And keep in mind, when you push your brands out to thousands of stores, you don't know what the product knowledge will be. You don't know how it's going to be presented. You don't know if it's going to be in stock. These are all the things that people hate about retail. If they can't figure out what it is you're trying to sell, what does it cost, and why isn't the one I bought 3 weeks ago here again? Where'd it go?
Okay, interesting. So you're going to focus on that entire brand experience in owned locations, owning the whole experience, the whole supply chain, the whole margin, more or less.
Well, and when we say owning the whole supply chain, let's keep in mind, let's shift to apparel. So vertical brands, they design the product, they have someone else go make it. It's made in factories they don't own. It comes from cotton that's grown on a farm they don't own. That's probably where cannabis is going. That basically somebody will be the expert at cultivating cannabis, and then you're going to take your customer demand signals and translate them into direction for your cultivator in terms of, I need you to be making this, and give it to them in a lead time that allows them to execute. It'll make it more profitable for them because they'll know what's selling before they even plant the seeds.
Right. Okay, so when do we actually get to see these wonderful stores?
So the exciting news is, I think last week we announced that we were expecting to get 3 licenses in Nevada to take our footprint from 1 store to 4 We were hoping we weren't going to be disappointed. It turns out we got awarded 7 licenses, which is awesome. We're also working to close on the second source store, which had a different ownership structure. So we could be up to 9 stores in Nevada, a total of 9 by September. That is $150 to $200 million of revenue. Pretty exciting. So the first 2 source stores, we're going to leave them alone because they have a wonderful, loyal following. They're well run. We're going to help them improve it even more. We're going to introduce a camp brand, as well as a Green Lily brand, which is for women. It's basically in this industry, no one's created a brand that is exclusively for women. Or business. I've seen one and it closed. By the way, it was up in Seattle. I think location. It was right next to the football stadium. Probably not a great location for a women's business, but I think you're going to see camp stores popping up in Nevada initially, camp stores, and it's a brand we're excited about. People, it resonates with people. It's the idea of you're going off to a glamping, if you will, and you let the battery in your phone die, and you become present. Right. And you really, kind of like what cannabis does for you, you focus on the here and now. Right. You see the glow of the faces around the campfire, the sparks going up to the sky, the stars in the sky, and realize, hey, those stars are there every night, but I never look at them. And I think cannabis can give you that experience. Yeah, so this brand is going to deliver it.
Oh, that's exciting. It's rare to hear a CEO actually concentrate on the cannabis experience. So interesting. So starting in Nevada then, during your IPO, you raised $13 million, roughly 60 million Canadian. Now, is that? That was a takeover. How much did you raise in total? How much do you need to get to profitability?
Well, we know, we have pro formas like everybody else, and we're showing a profit next year in those pro formas. But I got to tell you, let's get some of these stores open and prove it. Yeah, right. We think we'll be a business that shows profits right from the beginning. I mean, honestly, look, the 2 source stores, one which we do not control right now, but I think we will in a matter of weeks, as well as the grow facility, they're trailing revenues. So last 12 months, $39 million. The run rate is easily $45 million. The profitability of that operation, 20 to 30% EBITDA. So we immediately, right out of the box, have a business that is significant compared to all the other quarterly reports you just saw, and profitable. So yes, the company we're creating to do CBD does have some overhead, but I think we're not. We may be profitable already when we roll all these assets together. By the way, I think you must have heard that we've got a Massachusetts license. Yep. So there we go. There's another 3 stores in a grow operation by the end of 2019 that'll be generating revenue and profit. Okay. So I think we're going to be a profit story right from the beginning.
Wow, that's fantastic. All right, well, that's a great intro to the company. I'm a shareholder. I'm going to follow with the most acute interest imaginable, and we'll have you back next time you're in the city. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you.
Wow.
So that's the A-team.
That's the A-team of branding in the cannabis space.
Yeah.
And interesting, I found it interesting that they're not developing brands to be inserted into other environments, but they're going to recreate a Victoria's Secret type of immersive experience in their own controlled branding.
Like if you want to get their product, you got to go to them.
You got to go to their store.
Yeah, and there is that, and I was reading it this not long ago, the paradox of choice. If there's too much choice, it gets you confused.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
You Googled paradox of choice.
Well, I don't need to Google it, Ed, because I am exactly the kind of guy. It's like, give me 3 choices that approximate my need. If you give me 12 choices, then I'm probably not going to make a purchase for at least another 3 months because I'm going to try to do the research and all these things, and depending on the mood I'm in, and anyways, it's just a dog's breakfast. But Green Growth Brands, full disclosure, I am a shareholder, and I am excited about what they're going to do because that kind of branding power at this point is still absent in the cannabis space, at least in terms of legacy consumer brands that have already stood the test of time.
Right. Well, look. It looks like it's getting tougher here to feel like these like I look at Tilray. Tilray was down what, $10 today or something? Wasn't it?
Speaking of which, you know what time it is, Ed?
It's 4 o'clock.
The market is closing.
Ding, dong,
ding,
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 dong.
ding, 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 ding,
Yeah.
ding. Look, there we are. There's the clapper.
The clapper.
That's the clapper.
Yeah, the clapper.
Anyway, so looking at the markets at the end of day here, I'm looking at the large cap index on my screen right now, and everything is red. Absolutely everything. Nothing is green. It's not that easy being green. No, we can't sing on the show anymore, Ed. We've got to have a professional demeanor.
Right.
Look at wheat has lost a total of $1.74, down 4.06 cents. Aurora Cannabis shed 54 cents to close at 7.61. They're down 6.6%. But look at Charlotte's Web. Charlotte's Web shed $1.82, lost 11.38% to turn in the worst performance among all of the large caps. Again, full disclosure, I am a shareholder of Charlotte's Web. Afria lost 74 cents, lost almost 10% to close at $7.04. Kronos Group, $15.29. What was it when they halted the stock for that release on Altria?
It was.
I guess we could pull up a chart.
Shorted.
I
was a little short, and then I got taller. Then I got taller. No, it's back. It's come right back. There has been no gain to the stock. Like, in other words, if you owned it before they made the announcement, you're not up any money. You may be up half a buck.
Okay, I've got the chart up in front of me for Kronos Group here. And so here's where the stock was halted, was on the 13th of December. Bleh. And this is where it opened up the next day.
No, not the 13th of December. That's today.
Oh, no, sorry, the 6th of December. It was my birthday, that's right. I was in Miami. Then next day it shot up to 17.56 and started selling off from there. So today it's at 15.29. So it's still a buck and change higher than where it was pre the announcement.
Well, but it did trade that high that day, and then it backed off.
Yeah. But I'm saying that you haven't lost all your ground, lad, if you bought the stock.
No, but you're not really up.
No. No.
Semantics.
Unless, of course, you're using that Cantaloupe.
Well, that's true. Yeah, if you use
everything's looking up bad.
Then you're up.
Oh, boy.
Then you're really up.
Innuendo, sexual innuendo, I think they call that. Ed, what do you think about the millennials these days?
Well, which ones?
Well, the smart
ones.
So
what are the millennials? What are the ages of the millennials?
What are the ages?
I'm not sure I know.
I mean, what was the period of their birth?
Yeah, like
the period of their birth. I think a millennial is like anybody who was born yesterday.
Is a millennial? That's
gypsies?
Have we got any millennials in the...
MZs.
Have we got any millennials in the office?
Generation Z. Okay, so what do you think is the birth range of millennials? What is the...
I'm going to say 85 to 95.
What did you just say? 78 to 95?
Well, he said 7. I said 85 to 90. I don't know.
Whoa.
Jeez.
We just connect to the universe. We know it all.
I thought 85 to 95. That's
78 to 95 is the official feedback from our control panel room. Geniuses.
Okay. What's the year in North America that has the most births? What year? And it's in the baby boom.
Births of
people.
People.
Not cats, not dogs, just people.
Because that would be hard to tabulate.
Oh boy.
That hard to be hard to quantify.
I don't think there's a census for cats and dogs.
Anyways, we're getting off topic here.
Okay,
I had
so
a conversation.
what year?
With
the most births?
Okay. There's the trivia question of the day. Audience participation time. What year was the year that most births of human beings in North America?
Yeah.
We'll have the answer for you when you come back. But right now, I had a conversation with a millennial named Aaron Missere, who has a company called Departure Capital, and he was pretty insightful about certain things. And here's the conversation we had just a short while ago. Hey, Aaron, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Really
Aaron, tell me a bit about how you got involved with Departures Capital. What is it all about? What do you do?
So Departures Capital, it's actually really funny. When I was living in China for 3 years, so I was sick of traveling and I wanted to start a YouTube investment channel. So, the first ever video I shot was on the 32nd floor of my apartment in downtown Guangzhou. Just talking 1 minute about the stock market.
Guangzhou in China.
Yep.
Really?
You know where Guangzhou is?
In Chinese?
Guangzhou. Guangzhou, yeah.
Okay.
You speak Chinese?
No, I don't speak Chinese. Although I'd like to. Yeah. But, okay, so you started doing this in Guangzhou, and now you live in Waterloo.
Yeah, so I was always from Kitchener-Waterloo.
Okay, cool.
My mom was born in Toronto, my dad was born in Kitchener-Waterloo.
And how did you get into the cannabis space?
So my dad and I, we stumbled we've always been investors, real estate, the stock market, but you know, it was funny because our financial advisor told us not to buy cannabis stocks. And I said, it's a new...
Your financial advisor told you not to buy
our
cannabis.
Financial advisor,
he's doing something else for a living now.
He's fired now.
He's not your advisor, at least. Okay.
No. We fired him last year. But anyways, so we bought ACB. That was the first stock we ever bought at $2.
Wow.
And then it was right before it took off, like the initial pop in 2017, I believe it was. And then I wasn't on YouTube at the time. So I was actually in China, and I remember just calling my dad at it would be 12 o'clock there, it would be 12 o'clock here. So I'd just be, holy, ACB's up like crazy every day, you know, it was just like, so I got a big interest in the sector, but then when I started YouTubing, you know, my original plan for my channel was to talk about, I love commodities, gold, silver, mining companies. I've always, my first stock I bought was a bunch of mining stocks like Bear Gold.
Oh, okay.
And all those kind of stuff.
Wow, we have a similar trajectory there. That's hilarious.
Yeah, exactly. So I've always been a precious metal bull and also into oil. But yeah, so when it comes to YouTube, of course, you know, it's all about trending topics, and I just found my first YouTube video that popped was when Cronos was shorted. You know, I believe it was
after the Citron research report.
Yes, exactly. Citron research report came out. Cronos was shorted that day. It dropped 21%, and that was the first video to hit 1,000 views. And I was just like, because usually I was a pretty small channel at the time. I was getting 100 views. I went to the gym. I just checked my phone, and 1,000 views. Wow, cannabis is hot. You know what I mean? So then I was just like, all right. And then also I was just playing around trying to find different ways to, you know, make money online. So it was I wrote a book on the top 10 cannabis stocks. It's actually still on.
Really?
It's still on Amazon. Only sold a couple copies, but
are the top 10 cannabis stocks you wrote about in your book still the top 10 cannabis stocks?
Oh, we've got Aurora in there. We've got Canopy in there. We've got a bunch in there. So
yeah, that's a brave undertaking to write about the top 10 cannabis stocks because they change around so much. So then tell me what's your style of investing like? So are you a long strategist, so to speak? Are you opportunistic? Are you more of a trader where you're in and out of the market in small time frames? Or are you more of a buy and hold guy?
I would say, you know, we used to be. I used to trade a bit. Now we're just long-term buy and hold because we like a lot of dividend stocks, and then we like the big cannabis companies. Like Aurora is our biggest holding, and we just want to hold that for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we bought and sold Canopy, bought and sold Cronos, and a couple others, but now we're just accumulating. That's what I want to do now.
Okay, so if somebody was to ask you, you know, because I get this all the time, which is the better stock, Canopy or Aurora? And you know, it's always a long preamble to sort of qualify. Well, depends what you mean. What's your time frame? What's your risk profile? But if you were to, so you're telling me that you're a buyer and holder of Aurora, but not of Canopy.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I'm going to infer that you believe in the Aurora's model more so than Canopy's.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that, you know, Canopy already has the deal. Aurora doesn't have a deal. If they'll ever get a deal, we'll see. But I've always felt like, well, that's one of the most controversial topics, I feel like, because I YouTube about this, I collab with Rich, I collab with another guy all the time, and we're constantly talking about those two big companies and which one we like more. But I've always been a fan of, because I kind of feel like ACB is kind of the underdog.
Right.
You know, Canopy's got the hoard of cash from Constellation, and Aurora's kind of just like...
Aurora had to borrow money.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they got to borrow money, depending on your perspective. Okay, so when the short report came out with from Citron Research, were you short? Did you go short?
No.
So
I've never shorted a cannabis stock.
Oh, okay. And so was that because you believed in the longer term fundamentals of the cannabis industry, or was it because you just didn't believe in the research that Citron had put out?
I don't know. I've never been one to short highly volatile. Like, it's obviously that's how you make money. It's highly volatile stocks. But I've always been long in the cannabis space. Whether there are different, you know, companies like Citron Research that are going to put out reports and probably will bring the stock down. The only thing I've ever shorted, and it's actually a really funny story, I shorted the financials back in 2013, I believe.
Just when everything was making a recovery.
Well, it was starting to dive, and then it went super volatile, and then I actually lost on that investment and then just invested it all into real estate. So there was like two different sides. But yeah, no, after that I was like, not really going to trade short, at least. More so just.
So what's your long-term outlook then for the cannabis stocks in 2019?
2019, I think the next thing is going to be earnings. I'm really excited to see how they did, because rec sales weren't in the last quarter, right? No, so, and Aurora did have a phenomenal quarter compared to Canopy, right? This last quarter, so I'm excited to see what happens, and if we can get all our issues sorted out with the government and stuff. And it's funny how there's a lot less, supply? I'm trying to think here. A lot less supply than there is demand. There's more demand than supply. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Well, so far, yeah, that's true. But that's the interesting thing about 2019 is that going to turn around or not? So are you interested at all in any of the U.S. names?
I follow a bunch. MPX, that's one of them that we follow. I know hemp's been really hot recently with the U.S. Farm Bill and all that kind of stuff. So we saw hemp explode. I do believe there's huge opportunity in the U.S. I want to see more stability first in terms of where the sector is going before investing into that. But the longer it takes for the U.S., I feel like the Canadian companies will have time to establish themselves.
Right. So do you go visit any of the LP's growing operations at this point?
We plan to go to James E. Wagner because it's just in Waterloo, right?
Right.
So we're in contact with them. We're talking with them about going to tour their facility. Now I know that you've been on some pretty exciting.
Well, James E. Wagner was pretty exciting.
Yeah,
because they're the only aeroponic grower. So I really enjoyed them, and certainly the management team is one of the most knowledgeable around in terms of especially aeroponic growing. Okay, so then do you actually offer a newsletter in your Departures Capital capacity?
Yeah, so we have a VIP trader program. That's what we call it. It's like they sign up and subscribe. It's a paid service. And every Sunday before 12, we send them a detailed report on the market. It's about, the last one was 40, I think it was like 40 or 50 pages long. It's just all about different sectors, crypto, cannabis.
Okay. Where do interested parties go to sign up?
Just go www.departurescapital.com and you can see all the information there. There's a sample up there. And another thing I do for anyone who's joined my group, we do giveaways every 2 weeks. So the first giveaway, we were sponsored by a company out of Shenzhen, if you know where Shenzhen is, right beside Guangzhou. It's funny, like we used to live there, and they sponsored us for some CBD vapes.
Okay.
So they sent us 2, and I said, you might as well give them away to our community, right? So, and then we just got a really cool microbrewery beer keg, so we're giving that away. So yeah, we like to do.
I'm going to sign up and try to win it. All right, Aaron, we're going to leave it there for now. I'll have you back in due course. Thanks for joining me today.
That's great. Thank you.
And eat the snakes.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Wow.
The millennials rule.
Well, I guess it's that time again.
Yeah. Anyways, I want to talk about the end of market here, Ed, because, there's a... Oh, right. Actually, it's a good point. First things first, Ed.
Let's get the answer.
Before we hear your answer or the correct answer, let's see what the audience thought, and let's see. I didn't see any answers in here. So the correct answer is actually Charles Murray guessed 1990. Okay, so Reefer Al Joint says 1945, which is closer, but still not correct. Now we're talking in the United States, not North America.
Yeah, that's right.
So you guys might be correct in the North American sense, but we were only looking at America, and we misspoke when we said
you might be correct in Siberia.
In Siberia. Well, okay, so Blue Lagoon from Port Rowan says 1947. Simon Cleary says 1951. We're getting closer.
Yeah.
Maple Mike says 1947 to 1952, probably. What's the right answer, Ed?
1950, according to 57.
1957.
Yeah, 4.3 million people were born in
That
1957.
was a great year. I wasn't even around.
Doesn't
then.
seem like a lot of people.
I wasn't even a twinkle in my father's eye then. How about you? When were you born, Ed?
51.
51?
Yeah.
Oh.
September. Yeah. September is 9 months from Christmas, so I guess my dad
you're a Libra.
Gets lucky every Christmas.
You're a Libra. You got
He gets lucky once a month, whether he wants it or not. Anyway, that's
God.
back then. Yeah, I'm a Libra. Does that mean I'm a Libran?
Anyways, I wanted to quickly give a quick shout out to Rich TV, Rich D'Souza, who was responsible for bringing Aaron Missere to our show. We haven't had Rich on yet, and Rich, I just wanted to let you know that, like, when are we going to do this, man? We got to get you out here. We can do it by Skype, but Skype is not so good as having you in-house, so when you come into Toronto, dude? Anyways, he will answer because he's on there right now. So that was a great thing with Aaron Missere. He's going to be a bit of a regular. We're going to have Rich D'Souza, Rich TV is going to be on hopefully regularly. And I just wanted to give a big shout out to, you remember our wonderful California correspondent, Justin B. Marshall, who is provided us with a lot of those interviews from California. Justin is in the fight of his life right now, battling cancer.
Wait a minute. Did he have a relapse?
Yes, he did.
Wow.
And so I just wanted to
That's sad. I'm sad to hear that.
generate a little positive energy in the universe for Justin B. Marshall, our good friend, and we hope he is doing okay down there. I'm going to go see him at Christmas time, actually. And so big shout out to Justin and everybody who was thinking about Justin. Anyways, so I wanted to segue into a conversation about what we're going to do tomorrow, Ed. Tomorrow's Friday.
And when tomorrow comes, it'll be now, right?
Tomorrow is going to be the day after today. Which at that point will be now.
Yeah.
But right now it's not now, it's tomorrow.
Right now is now.
Oh my God.
You know that there's only now, right? There's only ever been now. No.
Some people live in the past.
No, but
others live in a bubble.
That's a mental abstract. That's
a mental abstraction. How do you know this? How do you know right now is not a mental abstraction?
Well,
you don't.
I know, but it seems to me that we're here right now,
according
right?
to quantum physics, guys, if we live in the multiverse, then there are a million variations on what's happening right now, in tandem to right now. Okay, so are you confused? I'm confused. Who needs to smoke pot when you've got me and Ed to listen to, man? I'm serious. Jesus Christ. Oh, Jesus Cristo, for those who might be from another religion.
Let's make sure we use it the Spanish term.
Hablemos en español entonces desde este momento.
Jesus Cristo.
Jesus Cristo. My partner's brother's name is Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
How come they never say Jesus? They try to color it up a bit, you know.
Porque es Jesus. Cabrón, por favor. Jesus. Jesus is the gringo bastardization of a term which originated in the Middle East, where if you consider the parallels between certain Arabic language constructs and the Spanish language, you will understand that back then, when the Iberian Peninsula was largely dominated by the Middle East,
there's a lot of melding there, right?
As Ed Milewski says, just saying.
A lot of melding.
That was a melting pot and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I think that's why one of the reasons why they like a lot of Middle Eastern people want to get back to that Iberian Peninsula.
They want to get back to the Iberian Peninsula?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's a nice climate, you know.
Well, that's true. How do you know?
I've been down there. I've been to the south of Spain.
You've been to the south of Spain?
Yeah.
Why'd you come back? Couldn't have been that nice. Why aren't you there now?
Yeah.
Weather's pretty crappy here today. Look out that window.
Oh, I needed to stop drinking.
You needed to stop drinking? So you came back to Toronto. I hope I can...
What's the Port of Venus? What is it called up down there?
Port of Venus? I don't know. I have yet to visit the south of Spain.
You know, I was playing golf down there, and I looked up, and we were down there, and I looked up, and I thought, geez, if I didn't know any better, that looks like the Rock of Gibraltar. Guess what? It was the Rock of Gibraltar.
Well, that's cool.
Anyway, that's pretty.
I wanted to talk a bit about Tilray today, because Tilray's in the crapper. No ifs, ands, or buts.
I think they should change your name to Tilroy.
Tilroy?
How much did it drop?
Okay, well, it's intraday. It dropped to as low as 71.85. It's now regained a few bucks to 75.55. But this is a stock that was $300.
Yeah.
What? A month ago?
No, I'd say 3 months
3
ago.
months ago? 6 months ago. Let's pull out here. Yeah, $300 it touched on Wednesday, September 19th. And this is a stock that started trading on Thursday, July 19th. And it came out at $23.05. Then within, 3 months, it touched $300 a share. And now here it is at 2/3 off.
Just based on my technical analysis, looking at that, I'd say good chance that Tilray, Tilray looks like it's with that big tail on the candle.
Yeah, you're talking about the one-day look here?
The one day, well, I'm looking at a 1 month, but that, you see how that candle is the biggest candle of the month?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the biggest candle, so it's the most volatility after a bad move with a nice tail.
Okay.
See the tail?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What does that mean, Ed?
I say that that's probably a short-term bottom for a while. Like I think we're going to grind back to say $90.
Do you own it?
No, but I think I'd buy it first thing in the morning.
You would buy it first thing in the morning?
I think so, yeah. It's outside the Bollinger Bands.
Yeah.
Got a nice tail.
Well,
it's got a long wick. Like all the things we've been trying to educate our viewers, maybe we should take note of them ourselves.
All right. So
James,
I'm going in hot and heavy.
Well, you don't need, you just make some money. Like you buy yourself, a share or two.
A share or two. 1,000 shares will cost you $75K.
And you know how it started to come off the bottom. So I think.
Yeah. Okay, so right now it's at 75.52.
Let's just see. Like, let's make a point.
Well
to talk
outside
about
the Bollinger Band.
Well outside the Bollinger Bands with a big range today.
Yeah.
The biggest range and all that whole.
It'll be interesting to see what happens after market.
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 red days with 2 green days. That's the odds are in your favor that a counter rally could occur. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying.
That's interesting, Ed. You know, I'm actually going to take your advice. I'm going to wade into the market with my my little online trading account. With my big swinging trading account. And I'm going you were talking about a place where you could get some interesting sausages here in the city.
Worst. Yeah, like bratwurst.
Bratwurst. Liverwurst.
But they had rabbit. I mean, I feel like a bunny. I don't want to eat a bunny.
Why not?
I don't know.
You've never had a rabbit?
I have.
Rabbit stew?
We saw rabbit on our farm. My dad would we'd have rabbit and rabbit stew.
Rabbit stew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
My dad would give me a rabbit punch, and then I would have a rabbit stew.
Rabbit punch?
I think, what's that, top of the head? Is it?
No.
What is it?
I thought it was a kidney.
No. A rabbit punch is where you punch like that, isn't it?
Yeah, but you punch the guy, I think, and there's a spot somewhere here.
All right, let's
find out.
Ask the audience.
Okay, here we go.
Skill testing question, audience. What is a rabbit punch? What is meant by that? Is that where you get punched in the head by a rabbit?
I know what that is, because when you take a rabbit and you hit it in one spot, you can kill the rabbit very quickly.
Oh.
And that's
I think a rabbit punch is where you actually take a rabbit, you grab it by the head, and you punch somebody with it. That's a rabbit punch.
When the rabbit punches you.
No, the rabbits can't punch back, Ed. Rabbits don't punch. Rabbits, as soon as you grab a rabbit, what does it do? Tucks in everything, squirms, squeaks, squeals, wiggles his little whiskers at you. That's about it.
What is a rabbit punch?
Look at Juju, 8.5 cents. It sold off. It was up at 9.5 cents, and now it's back down to 8.5.
A sharp chop with the edge of the hand to the back of the neck.
To the back of the neck. That's a rabbit. You didn't even give the audience a chance here.
Well, it'll be easier for them now.
Oh my gosh. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Anyways, so Tilray is one of the biggest losers for the week so far.
But don't you see, you know what we talked about outside the bands?
Yeah,
nice tail on the candle.
Yeah.
And it started to move up.
If I was a betting man, I'd say tomorrow is going to
30, but
you're going to be
wrong.
able to sell it, buy it today and sell it for $90 tomorrow.
But
don't forget, this is one of the stocks that's very active in the aftermarket. So for all we know, this is going to be...
It could open up $5, then I wouldn't buy it. I want to see it open down a little bit, and then I'd buy it.
Oh, really? So even, open down beneath the tail?
Well, you know, let's discuss it tomorrow.
All right.
I'll call you at 9:30.
All right. You know, there's one press release I'm looking for today, And I thought it would come out after market, and I'm going to take a quick look for it here. Why? Because if you recall, we were going to this week hear from a certain company an official line-by-line rebuttal on a certain research report, and alas, we don't have it. So, what does that tell you? No rebuttal. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna draw the conclusion that FRIA did not feel the need to go for a line-by-line rebuttal because it felt that the research was already sufficiently rebutted. And they didn't have to rebut it any further. Debunk it, because it's been debunked.
Also on the...
You're talking opportunities for tomorrow's day traders?
I just want to make another point about the Tilray 1 month chart.
Oh, you just reminded me. It's 426. I got to answer. So this guy's been asking me a question on social media. There's 2 questions on social media that I have been remiss in getting onto the show. The one question is, why do we focus so much on short-term movements if we're long-term buy and hold guys?
Well, the way I would answer that is, how do you know that you're a long-term? Like, I know I'm not a long-term. I could never be a long-term guy because I'm too emotional. Okay, so it's if you know who you are, then you can be that.
Well, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not necessarily that you are one thing. So I have long-term buy and hold positions for which I've said, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to give them 2 years because that's when I think I'm going to, cash out at a multiple. And then I've got positions where I buy on short-term momentum with the expectation that I'm going to be flat by the end of the day, so making me a day trader. And then I've got somewhere in between where I'm buying something because it's been sold off to a point where it's cheap by any stretch of the imagination relative to its peers. And I'm not going to necessarily put a fuse on when I'm going to sell it, but I'm going to target a certain return. And as long as I'm getting the incremental increase in share price over time without a more than a 20% drop, then I'll keep selling, I'll keep holding on to it until it drops 20% in a day, and then my stop loss will stop me out. So there's the long answer. I'm not just a buy and hold investor. I'm also a day trader. I'm also a swing trader. I'm also a momentum trader. I'm also a value shopper.
So
I'm basically schizophrenic. I don't know what I am.
I
don't know what I'm going to do.
You have multiple personality disorder.
Well, I don't think it's a disorder. I think I have a multiple personality.
I'm trying to make a joke here.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to try a little harder here, Milewski.
No. You know. There's different objectives. In the gamut of investment objectives.
Yeah.
Some people are short term. Some people, what are your objectives?
And not everybody is one thing.
I can't be long term. I know I can't. I would point. I'm going to disagree with you here and now. You're a long-term buy and hold shareholder in Crown Mining. Yeah, that's because it's sitting there doing nothing. You show me a bid or two.
What are you talking about? I don't think so.
Well,
if you see a bid or two, you say, "Hey, James, you should start buying this."
No. That's my retirement plan. Anybody looking to hire
a retirement planner?
A guy that's too old to do anything?
Too old.
I'll be a greeter at Walmart for sure.
Anyways, there was another one that I was promising to answer, and I want to answer that one. It was on Twitter here. Where is it? Oh. Nothing confirmed yet. No, that's not it. It's random and doesn't always concern you. That's my fight with American Airlines. Wondering when we can. No, we already had that one. Oh,
you got 39, 37, 36 seconds.
36
and I'm
seconds.
walking off the set right at 4:30. So
what are you talking about?
What?
You're going to leave? You're going to leave me here babbling away like a maniac by myself?
No. That's like a babbling brook?
Like a babbling fool?
Like a babbling brook?
Okay, we're having questions now from the audience for tomorrow's show. So tomorrow we've got Bruce Linton here.
And
we've got
Cam Batley
here. But they're not going to be on the show at the same time. So yes, I love all the innuendo and jokes about cage fighting and boxing matches and, you know,
maybe they're
but it ain't going to happen
maybe
because
they're going to spar.
No, they're not, because first I'm going to interview Cam, and I'm going to talk about Cam about all things Aurora. And then I'm going to extend the same courtesy to Bruce Linton. I'm going to ask him about all things Canopy Growth. And even though, yes, in the hubris of the moment, it would be interesting to have them in a cage match, and I'm sure in your fantasies that's fun to imagine, but ain't going to happen here tomorrow. We're going to talk to Cam Batley, and then also we're going to release the Aurora Sky video that we've been working diligently on, and then we're going to talk to Bruce Linton, and we're going to go and shoot a video with Bruce Linton sometime later in the year, in the new year next year, but lots of great things coming tomorrow, and I can't find the question that I promised I would answer, so looks like we're going to call it a day here. And thank you very much for watching today. That's our show for today. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell so you get a thing every time we go online and you can see us live and you will never miss another show.
See you tomorrow.